Welcome back to Dukascopy TV. I'm Darren McDermott. Investors are searching for a surge in gold prices as the US government shutdown continues. I have Alexis Laming in the studio with me today, and he is a FX and precious metals trader at Arab Bank. Welcome today.
Thank you.
So what are your views on what we're seeing in the markets and everything with the shutdown?
Well, actually, the shutdown is not a big issue in itself, but it has two major impacts on all markets related to the US dollar, such as gold. The first one is that the probability of a US default has increased a lot. So this probability is still very low, but it has increased a lot since a couple of weeks, and investors are looking at that. The second consequence is on the usual market movers, such as the non-farm payrolls or the trader commitments, which have not been published since a couple of weeks, and therefore a lot of investors are blind. They stay away from the market, and so liquidity is very thin. We've seen since 10 days, something like that, a lot of big spikes due to a lack of liquidity. What will happen next? Two options. Either they find a happy end to this political crisis, then the US dollar should start a bullish trend, a small bullish trend in the coming weeks, month, and then the gold should move lower. On the other hand, if they don't find a good exit answer to that political crisis, the gold should fly at least above 1350 in 2-3 weeks.
And Alexis, hitting headlines, Janet Yellen will be nominated by Barack Obama to become the next Fed chairman. So what are your views on this?
If we take a minute to see a quick review of her background, we have seen that she has been dovish since a long time. She has pushed the Fed to support economy with unusual tools, and she seems to be very concerned about excessive inflation on the medium to long term. Given that, I think that the two major changes at the beginning will be an increased communication of the Fed. So I think the Fed will more communicate and will better communicate, I would say. The second impact will be on more transparency by the Fed. About market reaction, I think that the market is only focused on the dovish psychology of Mrs. Yellen, but I think that is wrong. I think as a chairman, she will have to be more consensual than only her own view. So I think the tapering will be back on the table sooner than expected by the market.
And Alexis, can you share with us your outlook for gold prices?
Sure. Forecasting is always very tricky, but if we take the three most likely hypotheses, the first one is a happy end to the political crisis in the US. Second one is a tapering at the beginning of 2014, and no new big geopolitical issue arising. Then we can see two facts. The first one is that the physical market seems to be weak this year and end of 2013. We've seen Indian imports of gold cut by half, almost, from 200 tons to roughly 100 tons. We can see the producer of gold trying to hedge now. And on the other hand, we can see that the global fear about economic outlook and the European crisis are starting to fade away. So given that, I think that gold should move slightly lower before the end of 2013 and in the beginning of 2014. So forecast is around below 1275 before the end of the year. Next year, we should see a range between 1150 and 1250.
Okay, and just to wrap things up, one more question now in regards to the other precious metals, silver, platinum and palladium. What are your forecasts and views?
For silver, we have seen that the ratio gold to silver has reached a high this year to above 67 end of July. We are now back to 60, 61. Before the crisis, the ratio gold to silver was around 50-55, which seems a fair price to me. So given that, I think that silver should come down as well as gold, but lower than gold. I expect that we will stay below $25 before end of year, and next year we should be between $15 and $20 an ounce. For the other precious metals, it's even more hard to forecast something accurately because it's very linked to the physical market. And such as a production disruption in South Africa with a strike or something like that could have a huge impact on that. But I would say that the palladium should be below $600 next year and the platinum below $1,300 next year.
Alexis, thank you very much for coming into the studio and sharing your views.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching Dukascopy TV. Now make sure you stay tuned as we have plenty more coming up on the show today. See you soon.